Good morning. Today we're going to bring you along with us to see what a typical day looks like for an appliance serviceman. I'm Blake Wheeler. I am with BlvdHome. I've been with the company for almost 31 years at this point. Our main goal is to take care of the customer the first time, because no one ever calls an appliance technician and says, hey, come to my house, I'm excited to see you, my stuff's broken, let's be happy about it. No, they're usually upset. So we want to make their life the best that we possibly can by getting in and taking care of that problem so they can get washing when they have a household of kids, or get cooking if they have company coming over. We're going to head off for today. We're glad to have you along, and let's have a great day. Now I'm in my van, do the morning check. I go around, check, make sure all my tires are up, make sure fluids are good, everything's good with the van, everything is already checked out, good with it. So at this point, I just make sure that everything is in my vanity, make sure I have all my important stuff in my van. All of our paperwork is electronically, basically a paperless system, even though I carry a biller in with me, and some people may make fun of me when they will see this video. And all of our stuff's electronic, except for sometimes I'm old school, I like paperwork. Sometimes I have a lot of information on these papers that I've gathered over the years, I've written down. So first stop for today, we're gonna be looking at a GE front load washing machine. It looks like that it's not draining. The customer says it's checked for different things within it. No kink in the lines, no anything like that. So we're gonna get in there and take a look at that and see what is going on this morning. We're just gonna go hit this first call. We're gonna head there right now and get our day started. So one thing has definitely changed about the town that we live in here, being in St. George, is since I started working here has grown exponentially. It has just exploded. Typically I used to be able to get across town, literally across town, 10 minutes tops, and that's from even out of town places such as a little town outside of St. George called Ivins to Washington. It would literally take me 10-15 minutes. Now it's about a half-hour drive if you have to make that trek, because it has really grown and there's lots of traffic. But it's good because that just means that more people are moving into town and moving to definitely a great part of the country. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. This is my home. I've made it my home for a lot of years, but it definitely has had its growing pains as far as keeping up with the appliance business, because things change so fast and people are getting bigger appliances, and with bigger appliances become bigger problems. Just a tip for the consumer itself that may be watching this video: when you're considering these big appliances, somewhere down the road when this is going to have to be serviced, which it is, and do not fool yourself that it's not going to be. We don't want it to be, but it's going to be. Just be prepared that you may have to pay a little bit extra for a second body to help repair this appliance. Off for the day. Make sure the van's locked. The guest went to use it and it stopped during the middle part of the cycle. Now, basically the complaint is it's not draining, the water's still in there, clothes are still wet. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna try to just see what the machine does on its own. I don't wanna start tearing into it and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna start looking for this, this, and this, because I found I've got myself in a lot of trouble by doing that before. So we're just gonna start with the basic stuff, and then we're gonna kind of go from there. So we're just gonna put this into a diagnostic mode just to see if there's any error codes. We're gonna see what's going on. We're gonna see if we can get this machine figured out and what we need to do to fix it. It says drain pump clearing algorithm failed. So basically it means that the pressure switch didn't reset, so it could be a pressure switch problem, could be a few things, but there's still have water in here, so we know it's not a pressure switch issue because we have this. So the vent damper, there's a damper up here that's saying that this didn't open and close. That's kind of a throwaway code sometimes. It doesn't really mean anything. It depends on what the machine's doing, but in this case, that wouldn't cause this effect. We have a couple different draining errors here. So now we're gonna go into the specific test for draining number 12. Turn this number 12 here. Let's see what it does. And it does absolutely nothing. So I don't hear the motor, I don't hear the drain motor even trying to run. That water is sitting okay. I don't believe it's a drain problem. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take the top of this off and we're gonna check the board to make sure we are getting the correct voltage out of this board down to that pump when I'm telling you, because I don't even hear it running. So we're going to check that first, and then after that we'll remove the water, because if it's a board issue or it's not sending the power out, I can put the new board in and then I can drain it that way. Power is coming out at that point, then I know we probably have have a drain issue, and we'll have to get down to the bottom and check, and that's a lot more digging into it. So we're going to take step by step first. We're going to check that board, and then we'll go down from there. As I'm doing this, I do things my way, and it may not necessarily be the way that somebody else may do it, but it works for me, and that's all that matters. And the end result is, as long as it's fixed, if it's done the right way, as far as that, tearing it apart, or the way you decide to troubleshoot it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's right or wrong. It's just different. So first thing I always do is I put down something just to protect the countertop, just something to put my tools on, that if it gets dirty from my tools or dirty from other things, it doesn't matter because it's my mat and I'm not getting anything else dirty than my stuff. So on the board, I've located the correct connector that feeds the power down to the drain pump. So at this point, I'm going to put my meter. I'm going to set it for AC voltage. I'm going to put it in my two connectors right here. Go down to the drain pump itself. We're going to put in the connector here. Oops, right there. Okay, so got them in those connectors right there. And that's where I'm going to test it from. Now we're going to put this back into diagnostic mode here, and I'm getting exactly 0 volts AC coming out of that connector. Just double check those pins, make sure they're nice and tight, and we have no power coming out of that board right there. And do our last verification test. So we're going to leave our meter plugged in the same thing. We're going to go to ohms. So we're reading 19.8 ohms. That means I'm reading through, because I'm on that same connector, I'm reading through that drain pump. So that tells me the drain pump is electrically, it's reading through. That tells me that the drain pump itself is good. We have a bad main board because that's not sending power down to the pump to turn it on. Let's look up that part number for that main board and see if I've got it, which I very possibly do, and then we'll get it replaced. I have the part that's needed for a washing machine, so we're in luck today. We're going to get this customer taken care of. Fortunately for this guest, they have an extended warranty which covers this, so there'll be no cost to them. So let's go in there and get this thing replaced and get them taken care of. A little tech tip: if you've never done this before, or if you've never replaced the wires, you're unsure where the wires go, always make sure you take a picture. That way, when you put them back together, you know where all of them go. Voila, we have a board. That covers off, and now we have access to the board. Now it's out. I'm just going to set this board right over here. New board here. And yes, a lot of you are going to say, you should have opened it from the side because the lid flips open. Yeah, I know, but it's the way I like to do it, potato, potato. We have our new board here. I usually like to compare it to the old board to make sure that everything looks the same. We have a good board. And then they also send you this nice little card here. Now what this card for is, this board is utilized for several different models of the GE front load machine. So you have to give it what's called a personality, which means after you install it, you have to tell the machine what machine or what model that this machine is in. So they give you a card here where you text a number to be able to get, and they will send you a text back. You enter your model number in, and they'll send you the programming guide to programming the proper personality for this board for this particular washing machine, so it works properly. So let's get this thing put back together. We're going to cut the excess off on these zip ties, put this cover on right there, and then we're going to test this thing out, see if it works. This is a personality code number 4. So that's what we're going to have to program into this unit here. I'm going to keep pressing the number until it says 4. And that's the one, and then at that point we're going to press and hold that button. Now it knows what machine that is in. You have a couple of different green lights blinking on the board. One is the fast blinking one, that's the heartbeat, that's so you know there's power to that board. The other one is the green light flashing, that is for the Wi-Fi board for this unit. With the newer machines, I highly recommend that you connect your washing machines up to internet, even if you don't want to use the apps, even if you don't want to use this strictly, because a lot of manufacturers are doing over-the-air updates, just like you do for your phones, like you do for your iPads. Sometimes they find out it's just a simple programming issue, or something is not spinning right, and they just need to change the computer algorithm so it helps it spin properly, or if you're having out of balance issues. So if that is something that there is an issue with, is something the manufacturer can download to the product. Now we're going to test this and see if this thing works. We're going to turn off the extra rinse just so it goes to spin, and we're going to press go and see if that drain pump turns on. And it does. Look at that. We're going to get this water out of here. We're going to spin these clothes out, and then at that point we're going to run through some other diagnostic tests to make sure everything else is working properly with it. Those error codes that we showed you earlier, we're going to make sure we clear those out so we don't have old codes in the computer, because we don't want to throw somebody else off down the road if they're chasing their tail for a code that has been resolved by somebody else. So that's definitely something we're going to do when we finish up here. So we're going to let us run this through the spin, and then we'll show you the rest of what's going to go on here. So as far as the old board here, sometimes the manufacturers do send tags with them. If they want the part back, they'll charge us a core charge. If we don't return it, it's usually like $70 to $100. If you ever get a board and it does have something inside about returning to the manufacturer, it probably does have a core charge. So check with your parts distributor if you're buying it yourself. That way you're not losing that money by not returning this board to either the parts supplier or back to the manufacturer. Other than that, if they don't want it like this board, this one goes in the trash. So a question you might all be asking is, why did this board fail? The honest answer is, I don't know. It could have just been a bad relay on the board, because I did look the board over and I didn't see anything obvious on it. You know, sometimes they just fail. It's always a good idea to put a surge protector on it. If you can't afford it, it's worthwhile to your home, but you can hire an electrician and they can put a surge suppressor on the breaker box itself. So every outlet in that home is protected by a surge protector at the breaker box. That's for your hot water, and that works. Cold water, fabric softener dispenser, and then we're going to go to the pressure sensor. And what this does is you can see these lights flashing right here, and as the machine fills up with water, these will start going solid, and that means that the machine is to that level, and that means also tells me that the board is reading it properly. And that's why I want to make sure that that is still connected and reading properly, because I would hate to have to start filling up with water and flooding because I didn't check that. So I always check to make sure that it at least picks it up. We're going to run this to the tumble test just to make sure that the drum itself does tumble. So we know that that works. So now at this point, just got to pick up the rest of my tools, do a little bit of paperwork, and off to the next call. All right, now we're off to our next service call. We're a little bit behind right now, but we'll catch up. On this one, we're going to a Bosch dishwasher. My initial complaint I have on my phone is that it's not cleaning well and it's not dispensing the soap. I love Bosch dishwashers, and they're so problem-free that I am wondering if it possibly is just something the customer is doing to it, because this says it's not dispensing the soap. So that tells me one of two things. I'm not sure if that means the dispenser's not opening and dispensing, or the soap's stuck inside of it and not coming out. So that kind of leaves me a little bit of a quandary, but I'm going to lean to, because it's saying it's not cleaning well, I'm going to lean to the soap is opening, but it's not washing out. So I'm thinking of possible causes: wash motor not running, but I don't think that's the case. Not enough water, or the water's not turning on, or the screens are dirty inside the machine. So that's kind of my initial thoughts going to this call. We'll go in and take a look. All right, off to stop number 2. They're saying that the soap packet that goes in there isn't dissolved. On the Bosch dishwasher, and when you actually look, this piece here is lined up with that catch right there. So when the soap falls out, it falls into that basket right there. As this wash arm goes around, it sprays up into this and breaks that down. Now, there are certain things that will cause that not to work. One of them is obvious right here, because you can look at the wash arm here. You see the junk in it right there, right here, and right here. Now, with those being clogged like that, that is going to prevent the pressure from getting up into this to break down that piece properly, because that is what sprays up in there. Their complaint is sometimes they get little pieces of food and stuff on their dishes. These arrows are lined up here, but this screen is not locked in place. You got a big gap right back here. So that tells me that this is not in place properly. So you're getting stuff is getting by this and then spraying up onto the dishes. And this is really dirty too. So when this is locked in place the proper way, when it goes down, it's locked, and see there's no gap. If this filter gets dirty, then it doesn't pressurize like it should, then it doesn't clean like it should. It's a good idea to take it out, once a month, clean it off real good, just take a brush, clean it out, and then you can see the difference in it. And this is kind of what happens when you have something get by. It usually goes into the end wash arms. That's like a noodle or something that's fibrous. Go down to it and we can see the water coming out. We're looking for the water, how it comes out. This is the hub for it, and you can see all the junk in the hub that holds it in place. We've got to get all this stuff out, because if we don't get all this stuff out, as soon as I leave, it's going to clog up on us again. So make sure our screen goes tight on this. This is going to sit on here, and it's going to goes up until our black arrows line up right here. And you pull up on it, it doesn't come up, and everything is tight all the way around that right there. Wash arm, put it on there, and we're gonna run it through a diagnostic test. 99% of dishwashers, the hot water to your dishwasher is the same source as your hot water coming to your sink right here. It's just tied onto it. So if you're turning this on hot water, and it's cold water and it's running, you have to run it forever to get hot water. Well, yes, the Bosch dishwasher heats the water, and yes, it does a great job, but you always want to make sure that this water is good and hot before you start the dishwasher, because this whole time I've been running hot water and it's barely getting hot at this point. So, if you don't do that, then you're definitely going to see some washability issues, because it's not hot on most dishwashers unless it's a really good one like the Bosch, where it will heat up with wash water. But if you don't do this, this will also increase your wash time, because it takes longer for the dishwasher to complete its cycle, because it has to heat the water from a lower temperature to a hotter temperature. So I put it into a diagnostic here. This is step 00 of this diagnostic test. So we're going to start this and have this run through this test. So when it does is it checks to make sure the water is heated up to temperature, make sure that it opens up the door here, which it did. It heated the water, so we know that everything functionally is working with this dishwasher. It did drain the water out also. So at this point we're going to check the wash arms, see how they look. But if the wash arms look great, which I'm convinced they should, then we should be good to go. They have the customer go ahead and use this, and it should be all taken care of. Everything looks good, and it passed all of its tests. So at this point, customer's repaired. We're a success with that one, so we're 2 for 2 today so far. The next call is one of those ones where we talked about, having good information, but the information on this one is a part fell off the dishwasher. Well, your guess is as good as mine, and I have no idea what to prepare for. All I know is a part fell off a dishwasher. So let's go take a look at this Beko dishwasher and see what's going on with it. So we've got this has come off. Now, I'm not completely familiar with this part, but I think this is part of the upper wash arm piece up here. This piece was definitely at the bottom, and it definitely looks like it's part of the wash system, but I can't see anywhere where this would attach. If you know what this part is, or you think you know what this part is, let's put it at the bottom of the comments and see if one of you can guess it right when I figure out what it is. But I'm gonna have to hold up on this one when I go back to the shop and able to get to a PC where I can do a little more digging, and we'll see what this part is. That's definitely not what I expected today. It happens to be on a day that we're filming this and we're doing this video, because I'm telling you, I don't get stumped very often, but man, I am like completely baffled of what this part is. But I'm gonna find it. The next call is another GE washing machine that the guest says that the machine is not tumbling, meaning it's not turning or spinning. It could be a main board, which we've already replaced one today already, an inverter board. The purpose of that board is to drive the wash motor in the direction the computer wants and at the RPM the computer wants. That's called an inverter board. It doesn't usually have an issue with the motor failing. That's why they put a nice sticker on the front of it saying that it's got a 10-year warranty on it on the motor part, because they know this motor has a very good track record and doesn't fail. So I would highly doubt it's the motor. You know, I've already been proven wrong once today that I didn't know what I'm looking at, and I could be proved wrong a second time today because I'm not perfect. I'm close, but not perfect. Let's get there and get in there and see what's going on with this unit and see what we can do to help out with this guest today. First thing the machine does is it drains the water out. Once it sees the water is drained out of the product, then at that point it will engage the spin. As of right now, it's not engaging the spin. The drain pump's running, but I did not hear the wash motor running. It just feels like it's just trying to drain the water out, which would kind of coincide to some of our error codes saying that there's a pressure switch error code, because that's what reads how full the machine is full of water. What we're going to do is we're going to see if that motor works. We're going to put this into a different cycle. You're hearing the motor run, but no agitator. So that means we possibly have a broken belt in there, or something has happened to the pulley. But we're going to have to get underneath it and take a look and see what's going on. So for this to happen, could be as simple as the belt, because it's frayed right here, just frayed and it grabbed and it pulled it off, or it could have been too heavy of a load on it. But when I look at the belt right here, these have grooves in it. These grooves are pretty much melted off, almost like it stopped agitating, or something stopped from agitating and the belt stayed in one place and then it just kept burning through that. I can't really go any much further with the belt, and I hate to put a new belt on and have it fail. And I'm going to put this belt on. I'm just going to cut off this frayed area. I'm going to clean out these grooves the best that I can and just see if everything else does work. And it does spin. What I'm listening for at this point, I want to get the machine up to full speed. I'm listening for anything other than possibly a belt abnormality sound, like we have a bad clutch or a bad spin bearing or something of that variety is what I'm listening for. But everything else seems to be working fine with it. So it looks like we just need a belt. So at this point, I'm gonna look up and give the guest an estimate to replace the belt. It shouldn't be too bad. It definitely did have a problem with the belt and the pulley on this thing. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to use it during the time that we're gone, because the belt popped right off because it is missing all the grooves to it that hold into the pulley. So they're going to have to be replaced. All right, so we made it back to the store at the end of the day. I mean, it's not the end of the day for me. I've got a few other things I've got to do. Got to drive out to our distribution center and route my calls for tomorrow and pick up calls for tomorrow. And so I'm ready to start my day kind of like we did when we started this video. So today was quite the interesting day. I mean, we did quite a few different things, some interesting repairs. One that I'm still baffled on. I still don't know where this part goes for this dishwasher, but by gosh, I'm gonna find it. I'm telling you, I'm gonna find it. You know, it was fun. You know, a lot of young people don't really want to get into the industry. They think that there's not much growth or something to do in this industry. No, this industry is great because your day is so different every day and you meet great people and you can have a great career doing this. I hope this video has been informative for everybody. You can kind of give it a glimpse into the life of a technician and what challenges and trials and things that we have to deal with, you know, in trying to help everybody fixing their appliances, because we want to help you. That's what we do this channel for, and we really appreciate you watching these videos. Please put your suggestions in the comments, and we'll see you again real soon.